every time when I had a major like roadblock in my business, the kind of time it took me to get advice was the real bottleneck, right? Maybe I have a problem for sales and I don't know how to set up a certain email or how to address an objection of my customer, or maybe how to set up Stripe, right? How to set up my payment processor. Now I just put it into ChatGPT or Claude and just tell them, just explain it to me like I'm 5.
Today, I am very excited to be joined by Ole Lehmann. If you don't know who Ole is, he is the founder of AI Solopreneur, a media company that explores content creation. His products include the AI Audience Accelerator and AI Course Creator. He also publishes a newsletter called AI Solopreneur. Ole, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Hey man, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Super excited that you're here. Today, Ole and I will explore how to use AI to help you build a business, which is exactly what you're doing. So I would love to hear a little bit of your story. How in the world did you get into artificial intelligence? Start wherever you want to start.
Yeah, so it actually started with one of the worst moments in my life, when I'm not exaggerating. So it was in November 22. We just had the big crypto crash, the FTX scam. A lot of money was lost, the bankruptcy. And I was on a little deserted island in Germany. All my money was gone. I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my God, like my world is just imploding. And funny enough, around the same time, ChatGPT came out. And I had like one of the darkest moments in my life, and I saw this product, use it for the first time, and like at the same time, my mind kind of exploded. But I also even got a little bit scared because the implications seemed so immense. It was like, wow, okay, this is a special moment. And I didn't have anything to lose. I was like, okay, this is the thing. Somehow it felt like a little bit like a setup for me, lose everything. Here's something new. I was like, okay, I'm going to tinker with it. And I went in it like full time, pretty much once it came out. Just tinkered with it, played around with it the whole day. And at some point I was like, okay, I learned so much and why not share about it? So that was basically it. It was like a very hands-on approach. I never had a technical background, but I was always someone who just loved to explore new stuff that came out. Always a fan of forums, of subreddits, and just diving deep. Yeah, and that was pretty much it. This like how I got started. Just played around with it, shared my journey, started the newsletter, and everything kind of grew organically. It really surprised me as well.
So fascinatingly enough, I lost some money in FTX as well. My business had an account with FTX and we had like $50,000 in there and it just disappeared. And we're now waiting for the bankruptcy procedures to try to get the thing back. And I didn't even make the connection that the FTX crash was within a couple of months when ChatGPT launched, because there were couple of days even. Wow. Yeah. I didn't even make the same month. Yeah. I didn't even make the connection, right? Because there were such big news items. So, all right. So you discover ChatGPT and just tell us a little bit about the journey. Like you start messing around with it in November of whatever year it came out, 2023, right? Isn't that the year it came out? 2023? Yeah.
2022 it came out.
2022. Yeah. So you start messing around with it. Like, tell us a little bit about how you went from just experimenting with ChatGPT to understanding how this was going to be maybe your next thing.
Yeah. So I think one of the things I noticed pretty early was just the immense interest in the topic. And also every time when you have a major trend that emerges, you always have the hate camp as well, right? I think the best kind of metric to understand if you have a trend that has legs is to see how much hate is it getting. And I started to share content, and I'd say at least 50% of the comments were like, oh, this is another fad. We don't need this. This is evil. This is bad. So I like my spidey senses tingled a little bit. And I was like, okay, there's something here. There's some momentum here. So once I started to share the content, the account I shared content before, but it was a little bit more diverse. And it was under my personal profile. And I think around in March, the following year, so the March 2023, I thought, like, what about starting a niche account that only talks about AI and even only talks about AI for a certain persona, for a certain like subset of people. And I was a solopreneur before. I was one of the like Justin Welch fanboys, build your solopreneur business. kind of trying to live that dream. So for me, it just clicked like, okay, I wasn't super early just talking about AI in general. So there were countless accounts talking about AI news, about kind of generalized content, but there was no one really talking about AI for solopreneurs, and especially for people who also create content to get traffic for their own business. So I just saw the opportunity. I checked out the handle, AI Solopreneur. It was still free. I got the handle, and I was in Thailand at the time. And then I think 1 week after I started the account, I posted like my second or third thread at the time. And I flew back from Bangkok, and I was in Doha in Qatar. And I got out of the airplane, looked at my phone, and was like, oh, this is the first thread that popped up. And I think it brought me over like 2,000 followers, something like that. And yeah, it was just playing around with threads and trying to find that very specific niche inside. I'd say it was even like stacking trends, right? You had the solopreneur trend, which was the trend in itself. So more people wanted to work for themselves, especially after COVID, trying to tinker with building an online business alone. And then you had AI. And in my head, it's like, this is a perfect combination, right? If you want to work on your own, like, why not do it with AI and be even like more productive? And it helped me on so many different levels. I think that I understood early that the future of solopreneurship and the future of work in general, obviously, is AI. This is also why I chose the octopus as my logo, because the octopus has 8 brains. So for me, it was like a good metaphor to illustrate that if you use AI, basically, like, you're not using 8 brains, you're probably using 1 billion brains or 1 trillion brains. But I thought it was kind of a good illustration of what AI can do for a solopreneur business.
So taking us up to the present, you've got a course, you've got an accelerator. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was growing that account on Twitter at the time, now X, and it grew to around 100,000 followers in 65 days, which also blew me away. So the growth was pretty crazy, and the growth was AI powered. So I had all these different prompts that I used to come up with content ideas, to structure my thinking, to summarize stuff, to get content ideas from a certain format, certain platform, turn it into another format. So I was using all those prompts all the time, and people started asking me. It was very organic. Like, do you use AI for your growth? How have you done it? What were the steps? And at that point, I was like, okay, why not try to build a product that actually just tried to replicate what I've done for myself and to solve the needs of my potential customers or my followers. So I just collected a lot of questions. I also jumped on a lot of calls. I had like a zebra calendar. So I think for 2 or 3 days, I talked to 40 or 50 people and just really tried to understand, what do they want to learn? Like, how can I build education, a product that actually serves a need? And yeah, everything was very organic. But I think from what really helped me, so I started this project. I wanted to monetize this in the right way by building a product that's actually helpful and has like long-term kind of fundamentals to stay on top of the market. So yeah, I used what worked for me. I built a product in Notion, very simple. And like the whole setup wasn't fancy or anything. Notion is basically free. If you don't know, it's like a note-taking app that also has AI stuff now, but it's a note-taking app. And you can also create projects in there. So I created the course in there. I used Loom for videos, which also is like $8 a month. So no fancy setup, no crazy editing or whatever. So create this document and sold it through my email list. And the first launch was pretty much a year ago in August of 2023. And again, it blew me away how well it went. So I think like working in AI, it's so amazing because you have this crazy momentum going of people that want to learn, and also of people that are scared that if they don't learn, they kind of fall behind. So you kind of serve both ends of the spectrum from a like buyer's psychology.
Thank you for sharing your journey. There's plenty of entrepreneurs like myself and yourself that might be listening to the show. And why should they be using AI? We have to assume a lot of people listening to this show are kind of early in their discovery of artificial intelligence. And what's the upside? What's the benefit as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think you can like reverse engineer this question a little bit. and just ask yourself, like, what are the problems as an entrepreneur, right? Like, what are the potential roadblocks that you can face? And I think especially if you're getting started, or if you get into a new project where you haven't been working for 30 years already, it's most of the time it's like you have these knowledge gaps, right? You want to start a business and then you have to create a sales page for the first time, but you don't know how to create a sales page. You have to come up with email marketing, but you don't even know how a sequence is built. So you start at basically zero for all different business problems. Like, how do you do a business plan that you maybe have to send to the government to get some whatever money from the government? And this all takes so much time. And if you don't have like a circle of mentors around you who give you advice all the time, which probably most people don't, AI is that method that can bring, like, it can bring you to like a 70 or 80% knowledge level to get over these roadblocks just 10 times, 100 times faster. So for me, like, being a successful entrepreneur is about fast iteration cycles and about fast, like, go-to-market strategy. And if you want to build a product, if you want to get anything out there, having someone on your side who can give you feedback on a 70, 80%, I'd say, expert level at all times for basically $20 per month, that's insane. And I think it can be like, it's still so, people still don't understand the implication of that, because like people will tell you, oh, it's this mentor only for only $20 a month, but like what it actually means building a business with AI and being that fast. I see people around me who build the same business without AI, and I can see the difference in real time, especially when it comes to just getting something out there faster.
Yeah, I love it. As a entrepreneur myself, I am trying to, and I'm not a solopreneur, but I was once, and I can only imagine for anyone who is looking to start a business, the benefits of having AI are massive. All of a sudden, you've got the ability to, like you said, go from 0 to like 75 on your knowledge gap on different categories, because it's very hard when you're an entrepreneur to do all the things, to sell, to market, to do operations, to do customer support, to do copywriting and all these things. Yet the AI is capable of getting you way better than what you could ever get on your own for practically nothing, which is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
So for anyone who wants to use AI to grow a business, what do you recommend they consider before getting started? What are some of the things they need to ponder?
Honestly, I don't think there's anything you have to like really think about before you get started, because right now, especially like with all the text-based AI, it's all about getting started at all. Because so many of your questions will just solve themselves if you sit there for a session of 1 hour. Just maybe mark your calendar 1 hour next week, whatever. Try out ChatGPT for this or Claude for that. Just sit down and have a conversation with it as if you would be talking to someone with basically unlimited knowledge. If someone would like grant you a wish of like, you can talk to the best expert about your problems, but you have to do it right now. Just ask them whatever is on your mind, whatever is a roadblock for your business, and get into the conversation. Because I think the conversational nature is that crazy kind of unlock that you have building a business with AI. Because most of the stuff that I get out of my sessions, it comes up inside the conversations. So sometimes I will just start a conversation with like a generalized problem, but just having this conversation and being curious about different solutions to your problem is like really the key of getting to the solution of your problem. So I'd say, again, it sounds very simplistic, but not overthinking what it could potentially do or what like maybe could go wrong. It doesn't matter. Get started, sit down and have a conversation, and just think about it as a mechanism of solving your own problems faster.
As we were prepping for this interview, a couple things that you said, I'm going to remind you of that I think are really interesting, is number one, where do you naturally go to seek advice? And number two, what are things I discuss with other people? Talk to me a little bit about why those things might be worth thinking about before you use AI.
Yeah, so just talking from my own experience, every time when I had a major like roadblock in my business, the kind of time it took me to get advice was the real bottleneck, right? Maybe I have a problem for sales and I don't know how to set up a certain email or how to address an objection of my customer, or maybe how to set up Stripe, right? How to set up my payment processor. All these questions, I would have to write someone. Oh, do you know someone who has experience with Stripe? Do you know someone who solved this problem or that problem? So you had like maybe a week or two, or maybe you don't know anyone to get this problem solved. So the question for me, like, what would you usually ask someone else to solve? And right now, if I have a problem right now for anything, I just got a contract back, like a legal document. And usually I would have to call my lawyer, ask him, what does this specific word mean, and like normal English to understand it in context. But now I just put it into ChatGPT or Claude and just tell him, just explain it to me like I'm 5. So just get the basic understanding of it. And this is the framework for me. Like, what are the things you would usually go to someone else, just ask them, okay, how would you solve that? Just ask the same question to ChatGPT or to Claude. Sometimes like they would give you a more generalized answer, but I think the more important part is getting into an iterative cycle of ideas, of thoughts, of solutions. Because a conversation is always iterative, right? Like most of the time, you think your problem is there, but inside a conversation or like going through a conversation, you notice, okay, there's more levels to that. And a conversation with AI will kind of give you the same structure of getting to deeper layers of your problem.
I love this on so many different levels, and I'll just kind of free flow a little bit here. Everyone who is in any kind of business role has areas where they're strong and has areas where they are either weak or they know they need to learn, right? And if you know you need to learn about something in particular that you just don't know about because you've never done it before, that's the obvious candidate, is what I'm hearing you, to start by going to a generative AI solution like ChatGPT or Claude and saying something along the lines of, you are an expert in email marketing, right? And and you just say you're all the things that I'm not, right? Like, you know how to get high clicks, you know how to get conversions. And then you explain to it what your problem is. And then you ask it for recommended solutions. I mean, I love this because this is essentially what you would do if you put down some money to hire a consultant at $500 an hour, right?
Exactly. And this is what I've done before. I'm getting better results asking Claude for some problems that I paid someone maybe 12 months ago, like maybe 5K, maybe 10K. And sometimes I even feel like they also just use the same frameworks, right? So in the end, I'm not saying like every consultant will be out of a job or whatever. I think like in the very, very like specified word, it still has some value. But a lot of consultants, they should be sweating, because I think most entrepreneurs, they will find out like you can basically go to an AI, and if you can get, again, 80-90% of the solution from an AI, then you could still go to someone you pay for, but maybe for like, the last very specific question at the end. But you won't have those roadblocks. So like you just blocked and you can't really start anything. And I think that's the problem for a lot of my customers as well. They feel completely overwhelmed. They just have this goal of, okay, I want to start a business. But once you really get going, it's just crazy, especially if you also have to do all the social media stuff, right? Because it's a crazy world. Like, how do I produce my content? How do I edit it? When do I post it? What is the right formatting for each platform? You have to do all the different platforms. And I think just helping people kind of overcome, especially initial blockage running a business, that's amazing. But I think it's the more obvious part, right? Like, everyone talks about AI for content. But for me, sometimes the kind of stuff that seems more cliche and easy, it helps me even more. For example, if I have a subcontractor and I send them a contract, or they send me an offer, I always run it through Claude or ChatGPT and ask them, like, what is the worst case scenario? Please show me 3 different scenarios with different risks. Like, maybe show me one scenario where everything goes super well, we have crazy revenue. Show me the numbers then, and also show me what does it mean for me. For example, if I give someone a profit share, right? And what if profit is super high, but cost will be super high as well? What if, whatever, like kind of modeling out financial models, very simplistic for me, but modeling that out with ChatGPT when I read a contract, that's also amazing because sometimes I'm not like as much in the future. I'm like, oh, this feels great. You're like, you tend to do emotional decisions, and that's not wrong. But having like an objective mind running through this, like more like the Rain Man, like seeing into the future, running different models, that gives me personally an incredible edge because I have this objective, not a person, but let's say an objective player giving me these scenarios, and then I can sit down like with a very like sober mind and be like, okay, these are the scenarios. This is how I feel about it, and I could even do this in a conversation, right? And just ask Claude, please help me make the right decision here. Ask me some questions that lead to the best long-term outcomes for myself. Please ask me about my emotional state and like get this into the equation. So I would also do this sometimes as a coaching call when I have to do important decisions. That's what I'm saying. Like the implications are endless, and once you just start using this stuff, it becomes addictive as well.
I love it.
Fun,
So you mentioned so far and this is a transition. We're transitioning to my next question, which is how does AI help you be a better entrepreneur? And you already mentioned one of the things is to provide it information like a contract and say, what is the worst possible outcome that could come from this contract to kind of help you understand the contract in a unique way. But you also mentioned using it to help you make decisions. And one of the things you talked about when we were prepping for this interview is using it as a sparring partner. That was the language that you used.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about this application of using it as a sparring partner. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so I think the best sparring partners are brutally honest, and also they like from my personal experience, my best sparring partners in terms of brainstorming or building anything were people that are a little bit different to me. They give you this outside perspective. For example, like maybe I'm more of a creative type, and I always want to try new stuff. So I love business partners or sparring partners that are like, no, focus on the same thing that works, that have more of this kind of compounding mindset, I'd say.
So how do you do that? Do you tell it specifically to take a perspective? Like, talk to me when you're like prompting it as a sparring partner. How do you do that?
Yeah, so I sometimes also tell it to steel man the counter argument as well. For me, like understanding the counter argument in a more positive way and not being kind of just anti what I don't want to be. It helps me a lot to understand my position as well. So for any major decision, I use it, as I'd say, it's more like a coaching call almost. And sometimes I'll just also ask it, like, what are the different positions you can take on these decisions? Please, again, you can just look at it rationally. You can look at it emotionally. You can look at it spiritually, right? Because I think every decision in business has these different layers. And it's so much more than just a spreadsheet for me. So in the end, when I think about it now, I was never much of a journaling guy, but I think this is why AI changed so much for me, because journaling is like a one-way thing, right? It's like you write it down and you kind of just push the information out of your head into the paper, which also is helpful. But doing it with an AI is, it goes in both directions. And if you ever had a coaching call or maybe even a therapy call, I think the biggest value is in verbalizing your own thoughts and getting some of it back as well, and also hearing a different opinion on it, right? And if you hear an opinion on your own thoughts by someone who has maybe a different mindset or maybe a more objective view, you start to see your own thoughts differently. And this is what I do a lot.
Can you give us an example of how, just so we can take this concept of a sparring partner, taking a different view than your view? Do you have an example of either something you've done with some of the students inside your course or something you've done for your business in this sparring partner concept so people can wrap their brain around it?
Yeah, for example, I like to do it with sales pages. So I would just ask it, please help me optimize my sales page, and please take the extreme anti-argument of what I want to sell. So maybe I'm creating a persona that's basically anti everything that I want to sell, and just giving me all the different objections. So I'm even asking, what are all the other objections that I'm not mentioning on this sales page? So you are against AI, you are against this is this. So I give it all the kind of points that I already have, but I tell it, okay, please come up with all the other potential objections I might be missing, and go through the copy with me. And so I bounce back stuff with this to give, like, to show my own blind spots basically. And then I ask it, how could I change your mind on this? Like, what could be a different viewpoint? So it's very iterative, as I said. So there's no like, for stuff like this, I don't have like the one fits all prompt. So when I work on copy, and I want to edit stuff, it's usually giving a different, like, looking at the same piece of content with different context. So again, we can take different roles. We can take, for a sales page, I have a document with different like basic setups of the sales page. You have like a Russell Brunson kind of sales page. You have like maybe a more modern one, and I would just feed the different examples to look at it from different perspectives. That's most likely what I do with doing a sparring partner. What I really like as a sparring partner, again, is to basically tell the AI to give me arguments that would be beneficial for the other person, right? For example, if I write an email and I want to sell someone something, it costs $10,000, and what I should be thinking about is all the benefits they have, right? And I would just ask the AI then, please come up with with phrasings that are just focusing on the benefits of my of the person that I'm talking to in that email, or when I send this offer. And it's very hard for us if we, for example, if we send an offer to someone, we always think about ourselves, right? It's just naturally what we do. And so what I would do is just ask the AI while I write this, like, how can I frame this from the person that I'm writing this to so they feel seen? Like, how do you feel seen when you read this email? So this is the kind of conversation that I have most of the time.
Very cool. I would love to explore how you're using AI to help you with your content creation.
Yeah.
You and I explored some really cool stuff that you're doing, and I think it'd be really interesting to share that with everybody.
Yeah. So it starts with the research phase. Basically, I love to use Perplexity. This is like kind of my new addition. So Perplexity has this nice feature where you can basically go through viral news as well and topics in your niche. So that's amazing for that. So
real quick, just for people that don't know, it's perplexity.ai. And to find viral news in your niche, like I don't use it for this. So how do you find that when you're on perplexity.ai?
Yeah, you have this, there's like I have to look at it. You have like a tab, and you can just, I think it's something like trending topic or whatever. I need to check this. And you can just basically ask it, like, what is the trending topic basically of the day or of the week in my niche? Maybe it's AI, maybe it's machine learning, maybe it's football for cats and dogs, whatever. And it will basically just look for different sources of news. And that's amazing for me because most of the time, like, it takes a lot of time to stay on top of trends, especially in fast moving niches. So Perplexity is amazing to just kind of stay ahead of the trend.
Just out of curiosity, how is it that Perplexity knows this? Is it combing Reddit and Google search or something along those lines?
I have to lie if I'll tell you how they do it. I don't know, really.
You have no idea? Okay.
No.
But they do provide links, right, to everything that they come up with. And is it generally to Reddit, or is it just all sorts of, like, you think they're combing Twitter or something like that?
Yeah, it's all kind of stuff. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So you're using this and you're discovering news that's trending, and what do you do with that information?
Yeah, so I think a lot of content creation nowadays is, it depends on the kind of content creator that you are, but a lot of viral content creation is based on curation, especially if you're in a fast-moving niche like AI. So what I would do is basically look for hot topics, then kind of comb the news, summarize them, and put them in a format that goes viral. So I have a specific prompt that's based on like what goes viral on X most of the time. Not most of the time, but it has like a higher probability of going viral. So I would just rephrase basically what I just found in Perplexity. So, usually I would also do some research additionally to it, and I'll go on X and look for it and maybe go on Reddit. And then I would use this prompt to basically reframe or restructure the thread so it has a certain formatting. So I can just paste it into X. But I always do editing. So I don't want to tell anyone I just create it fully in AI. I think also it's a big advantage if you know how to do content, if you understand content from a psychological level. So I think if you use AI, still take enough time to understand why someone clicks on something, like to understand basically basic psychology for content. I think is key, especially if you use AI, because every content piece usually needs some editing. But if you know what to look for, it's still 100 times faster because you just have to do basically little editing here and there. So yeah, I do this for new stuff, but I also do a lot of basically restructuring what I've already done for a different format. So I can turn a thread into a newsletter edition. Or I also use AI to write my prompts, right? To help me write my prompts. I also have a prompt writing prompt. So basically everything I do, I use AI all the time. I use AI to create my products as well.
Just real quick on the way that you're curating the news, just so I can understand this. So you're using Perplexity. You're discovering things that you feel like would be interesting for you to share on the social profiles. And once you find some links, help us understand, like, are you putting these into Claude and then asking it to basically write summaries for you, or how does that work exactly?
Yeah, that's what I do sometimes. It's basically, staying ahead of the news. I tend to not do as much news stuff anymore because if you're the news guys, right, it's like there's so many of them.
Right.
So what I also really like to do is to go on Reddit and kind of mine for viral potential, and then use Claude to sometimes help me create basically controversial, like to take the other side of the argument. Again, is that something's trending in AI? You have a lot of kind of single post about sentiment about AI. Someone thinks that AI will, be the end of the world, and I would use Claude to kind of fabricate a counter argument. Like, how could the world also look like if you take the complete opposite view? And I write a thread about that, and that's really helpful as well to kind of get the creative juices flowing. Because if you see a content piece that's already viral, you understand that it basically triggers emotions, right? People. It makes them angry, it makes them happy, makes them sad, whatever. So using AI to kind of take the opposite stance on something that's already viral is also, as long as it's also kind of connected to your views, right? So I'm not using it to fabricate something that I don't think. But a lot of the times, especially if you have this kind of doomsday scenarios, I like to use something like Claude or ChatGPT also to come up with ideas. But also, yeah.
One thing that we talked about when we were prepping for the interview is that you like to document your ideas using AI, using note-taking apps. Tell us a little bit about that ideation process and how that works for you.
So what I do a lot is also a very simple setup. So a lot of times when I work, I just record a loom and I just talk through my own process. And then I will use AI, for example. There are many use cases. One of them, that's not for content, but it's for content to create SOPs, for example, for my assistant. So I would just go through a task, create an SOP just using AI. Or I would just basically ramble about a topic. I do this a lot. So I go on a walk, because I wanted to kind of get away from creating content from my desk, because I sit at the computer all the time. And I thought, like we want to progress, right? And we don't want to just sit at home all day being a content creator. And we have these amazing tools. So I started using Otter AI just to record my thoughts about a topic. So, for example, I would read a tweet and it makes me think something. Like it evokes an emotion. And I think if you want to share takes, hot takes, spicy takes, whatever you want to call it, if you read something, it does something to you and it evokes a reaction. It's much smarter to just talk into your phone and then use an AI prompt to basically, again, just restructure your thoughts. And best case, to grab attention, to have something hooky at the beginning, to go into a little bit of storytelling, to keep the attention, to keep more of the retention as well. So it's using AI to just restructure your thoughts. And I also really like the idea of content being the sawdust of your life rather than just a grind at your desk. So I think the best content creators, they basically live their life in an interesting way. They create interesting companies. They have interesting takes on the world, and they just share that. So they don't kind of sit down and only force it. And that's an approach that I really like. So this is why I try to kind of capture my thoughts on the go as much as possible.
Now, Otter.ai, I know as a meeting person that steps in but tell us about how you can use it to record your thoughts. Does it just have a microphone on it?
Yeah, they just have the microphone button. That's it. I mean, now you can also, what I also sometimes do now, because I'm even lazier, I just take out ChatGPT and they have this, the talk function now.
Yes.
So I will just tell ChatGPT, please listen to me until I finish. I will just share my thoughts. If you have an idea to, get even deeper into it, please ask me sub questions. Please try to extract as much personality, as much knowledge, as much spicy takes as possible. And sometimes I'll just drive home with my car, and I have like a 40-minute conversation with ChatGPT, asking me questions back and forth. It's a bit more complicated than to get the script out, because with Otter you would just have one big script, and with ChatGPT, you have to copy and paste it out of the chat. I mean, you can extract the whole chat as well, but I usually just copy and paste it out, and then I run another prompt to extract the insights again. But again, it's like a mini podcast I do with myself.
It's interesting because this is a cool concept that I've been talking to people about, because I have a friend who's in a mastermind group who has a commute to work, and it's like a half an hour commute, and he does what you're talking about. He quite literally will just use ChatGPT and he'll talk to it. And for anybody who's done it, the cool thing is it translates everything you say into text, and it translates everything ChatGPT says back to you into text. So it's a thread, and you can copy and paste it. Now, is there a limit to how long you can talk before ChatGPT interrupts, or do you have to prompt it to like what? You got any tips on that?
So sometimes it interrupts you. So what I basically do at the beginning, I tell just don't interrupt me until I tell you to talk, basically. So you can just add those little phrases. If I'll tell you, give me another question, for example, you can talk again. But most of the time, I'm lazy. I'm very honest with you. I just grab it, and I think there's also a good mindset. If you basically make your content creation as simple as possible, so you don't feel like, I have to, tell it this long ass prompt every time before I get started. But if it interrupts you can just tell, hey, don't interrupt me. I'm still talking. You can just like a regular conversation.
So how long is the longest you've ever gone for? Like, can you talk for 20, 30 minutes easy with that and it will capture it all?
Yeah, I've done longer. But usually the long sessions, I'll do more interview style. Okay. So I will talk for 3-4 minutes, and I'll maybe then also ask ChatGPT, please ask me a question to get even more insight, or maybe I don't know like where to go from here. Please give me different directions here.
Yeah.
So this is what I like to do most.
I kind of feel like from a creative perspective, using the audio interface with ChatGPT could be a big unlock for a lot of people, right? Because you can use it now with your headsets on or when you're in your car, and you don't have to worry about the typing being perfect. And are you finding that some of the best stuff is happening when you're actually speaking to it?
Yeah, for me, 100%. Like, I'm an audio person in general. So I used to be a music producer. I'm also a singer and a musician. So I really like using the voice rather than just typing it out. I don't know. It just feels more natural to me. I also use it like for simple things in public. I just give you a random example. It just comes to my mind. For example, I went to a festival, and there was a huge line to get back into the trains to go back home. And I just asked ChatGPT, please give me the best strategy from like a physics standpoint right now. I'm standing in the queue. It's like 100 meters long. There's like the entry is only that, the width is only that, 8 meters or something. Where's the best spot to stand now to get in there fastest using physics or psychology, and it gave me an idea, and I just had it in my ear, right? Just talking to my AirPods very fast. So this is also how I use it. It can be the kind of little optimizations in your life. And on the creative part, again, it's also massive for me, because also as a musician, I think most of the time the worst part is when you're stuck with like nothing. Like you can't get going. And usually having a partner, also in music, was like having a production partner or having another musician come in, giving you ideas, is usually just it gets you kind of into a creative state.
Okay, Claude versus ChatGPT. You use both, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you're using Claude differently than ChatGPT, and kind of how you use them together, maybe even.
Yeah, I still use both. I like Claude's output more when it comes to anything copywriting, anything content. It's a little less cringe, and I also feel like it's better at learning a certain style of writing, or so I just feed. So I started using Claude a lot more when it had the bigger context window than ChatGPT. For anyone out there who doesn't know what a context window is, it basically just means how much info can you give it. For example, now both have really big context windows, so you can give it thousands of pages probably of information. But at the time, only Claude could have a PDF, I think, of like 100 pages. So I would use 100 pages of my own writing. And every time I'll write something, I tell like, use this as a reference for my writing tone. Don't go too far away from it. So this is why I kind of fell in love with Claude. But still to this date, the outputs are better, from my opinion, like from my point of view, when it comes to anything copywriting. Still, for the business decision stuff, I go to ChatGPT more often. I couldn't tell you why. I just feel like it's a little better in like the systemic thinking and iterations. But you can use it. You can use both basically for everything right now. But I'd say for copywriting, anything more creative, I like Claude more.
Yeah, I'm with you. I use Claude for more sophisticated writing, and I use ChatGPT for more when I'm in the ideation phase, when I'm trying to solve a problem or do some preliminary work. Yeah. I find ChatGPT is better, but I do find that Claude has its strengths in certain areas, like open-ended data analysis. Yeah. I find that Claude is superior. It seems to just have a better English language. Now, you're multilingual, right? Are you finding that you speak other languages? Are you finding that it's only these large language models are best in English and not necessarily other languages? Okay.
Yeah, especially because my partner, she also does content, and she did it in German before, also like for products, and it was always a little cringe. It felt like someone from like 20 years ago. I don't know, very weird. So I'm not sure how it is right now, because everything I do is in English.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely better in English, like both models.
Very cool. First of all, thank you so much for sharing all your little tips and insights today. If people want to discover more about you, where do you want to send them?
Yeah, so my main channels are on X and LinkedIn. So you can find me on X at AI Solopreneur. So just at AI Solopreneur. This is my main channel. This only focuses on AI trends, and how you can grow as a business person using AI. Then I also have my personal channel on X, which is at ole.eth. So it's OLEDOTETH. And this is more about my journey, building my business, also some rants about different topics in tech, a little bit of longevity and health stuff I also share. This is more like the behind the scenes account that I run. Yeah, you can join my newsletter, especially for the AI Solopreneur. This is where I share most of my in-depth prompts. You can get the newsletter twice a week. You can find the link to the newsletter on my X account, on my LinkedIn account. LinkedIn is also Ole Lehmann. It's my personal name as well. Yeah, these are my main channels right now. I'm trying to grow on the video stuff. I can still learn a lot from you. So there'll be more soon.
Ole, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your insights with us today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.